The room selection process is around the corner.
And the 22nd annual Polar Plunge is this weekend.
While Valpo has been in a safe zone for weather this week, there was considerable weather earlier this week and coming later that we will talk about during the weather today.
We have that and more. This edition of 15 News at 5 starts right now.
Thank you for joining us on this evening on 15 News at 5. I'm Konnor Stump.
And I'm John Williams.
With spring break approaching, it's time to start planning your class schedule and room selection for the 2023-2024 academic year. You can log on now to the Data VU Housing and Meal Plan portal to confirm your spot for next year. By filling out the on-campus housing application, a reminder to students that no singles are being offered this year without proper accommodations because of the anticipated construction that will be taking Brant and Warenberg offline. The general online room selection process will run between March 24th and March 30th, with the Promenade apartment selection beginning March 2nd.
Alliance's Pride Prom was held this past Sunday, February 19th. Alliance is the LGBTQ+ organization on Valpo's campus. They help educate about and plan events for the LGBTQ+ community. Pride Prom provided people of the LGBTQ+ community a safe space to be themselves and have fun with others. At the event, guests had the opportunity to do a photo op, play Just Dance, and have a mini bubble party. Alliance's next big event is their drag show on April 15th. Email alliance@valpo.edu for more information.
Bring your costumes and take that plunge to help Special Olympics Indiana raise money by taking a plunge into the pool of freezing water on February 25th. Students, faculty, and community members are welcome. Registration will take place from 8:30 to 9:30 inside the main entrance of the Arc, and the plunge will begin outside of the Victory Bell at 10 a.m. There will also be an after splash bash in the Hilltop Gymnasium right after the plunge. We've previously reached out to Chuck Garber, a VUPD police officer who has administered the event for the past decade, for more.
For the last 10 years, I've been blessed to work with Special Olympics. And part of it, behind the scenes, I get to work with the athletes. I've been amazed what Special Olympics do to help develop these athletes in leadership, in self-confidence. And the athletes has really taught me a lot. They're not filled with a bunch of biases. They don't care who you are. They just really get along with everybody. I was at a race where somebody won and then somebody was really behind. As the athletes won, they went back to run with the one that was in last place. So there's a bunch of ways that you can help donate Special Olympics through the Polar Plunge. Besides plunging, you can be a virtual plunger where you just pledge money, show up or don't show up. You can donate money for a particular team. VUPD's team is the Popsicles. So it's our officers plus other firefighters and police officers from around the area. You can go to the Valpo Plunge webpage and pick a team that you can donate on their behalf. Or if you have a student or a friend, you can donate under their name.
The plunge will have a minimum registration fee of $85. You can stop by at VUPD to pick up a registration form today. For more information, you can visit www.polarplungein.org.
Are you looking for something to do this weekend? Come to the chapel this Saturday and listen to 2 concert sessions hosted by Lucy Concert by the Lucy Concert Band and conductor Dr. Jeff Dobler. The 20th annual Small High School Band Festival will begin at 1 p.m. Students from several high school bands were invited to come and play a few musical pieces. Alongside the Lucy Band, the Community Band Festival and sensory-friendly concerts will follow at 5 p.m. This concert is mainly designed to accommodate and welcome people who have sensory disorders or other dysfunctions. For more information, visit www.valpo.edu/music/performances.
Between February 20th and March 3rd, Valpo IT, UPC, Valpo Campus Recreation and Wellbeing, and the Center for Student Involvement will be hosting Under the Influence. This is a series of programs focused on the impacts of social media. Some of the events include the Day of Unplugging, where students are encouraged to take part in activities without the distraction of cell phones. The documentary Tick Tick Boom was screened in Neal's Science Center on February 20th, featuring speaker Shakilian Kantia, who was Emmy-nominated producer and filmmaker, presented in the Share Union Ballrooms on February 22nd. These events encourage students to reflect on the power of technology in a modern society. Students can visit the Union Atrium between February 20th to March 3rd from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. for more ways to engage in the series. We have 15 Weather's Lizzie Nosek in the studio today. Lizzie, what's it going to be like?
Well, as we look out over Valparaiso right now, we can see that it is a relatively cloudy day. We are definitely missing the sun here in Valpo. There was a lot of rain that we had yesterday, but luckily we missed all that sun in the northern plains of the United States and northern Michigan as well. There is a gale warning that is in effect right now until 9 p.m. tomorrow night. There are some strong winds that are currently out there, so please be safe, especially when you are driving and walking. Are coming early into next week, as on Monday we're about to hit around 58 degrees, which is really warm, but there is more rain on the way. But you can enjoy a nice dry weekend as we go Saturday and Sunday. There are no winter weather alerts for our area, so definitely something nice to look for going into the weekend. Back to you guys.
Ooh, a warm weekend. Sounds like music to the ears. Thanks, Lizzie. Coming up, we'll take a look at your Valpo sports.
But first, Murphy will be diving in depth about the Brauer Museum paintings being sold. Stick with us.
Two weeks ago, we mentioned the residential halls were going to be renovated. Daniel Murphy has more on the story, including interviews from President Padilla.
On February 8th, the campus community received an email from President Jose Padilla titled Strategic Plan Initiative Funding. This email caused commotion from students, faculty, alumni, and more. In this email, President Padilla talks about the first-year residence halls on campus and how they need improvement. He mentions that they currently do not meet the expectations of incoming students or their families. His plan to pay for renovations to the first-year residence halls is to, quote, consider assets and resources that are not core or critical to our educational mission and strategic plan and reallocate them to support the plan. These renovations will take place in Brandt Hall and Wernberg Hall. The assets in question at this time are 3 paintings from the Brauer Museum of Art. Georgia O'Keeffe's Rust Red Hills, Frederick Church's Mountain Landscape, and Child Hassam's The Silver Veil and the Golden Gate are the 3 pieces being sold. This decision caused a lot of uproar from many people, one of those people being Richard Brauer. He was the chair of the university's art department for 10 years and the museum director, and had the museum named after him in 1995. We spoke with Brauer about this matter. When asking him about his thoughts on the matter, he said,
"One, I'm astonished at the value that they have increased to. I never thought of that. In fact, the purchase of the O'Keeffe was not greeted with a lot of acclaim."
When talking to him, Brauer told us that the O'Keeffe that is being sold was originally purchased for around $6,000 back in 1962. This is compared to the most recent reported appraisal value of $15 million. We also asked him what the communication was between him and the university involving the sale of the art. He told us that President Padilla had come to visit him and told him in late January that they were planning to sell the paintings. He responded with this.
Then I told him I thought it was wrong, that they shouldn't do it, because I just thought it was part of a restricted account, this money. These paintings were bought for with Sloan funds. If you realize the profit, that profit belongs to the Sloan funds.
Brauer said that if the sale of the art were to go through, he would ask to have his name removed from the museum. Many others in the community have made statements concerning this, including 4 organizations representing museums across North America. These are the Association of Art Museum Directors, the Association of Academic Museums and Galleries, American Alliance of Museums, and the Association of Art Museum Curators. These organizations released a group statement, shown here, disapproving of the sale of the art. Students on campus also spoke their minds about the sale of the art. Some students started a protest and walked letters up to the president's office. Rachel Painter spoke to Ashley Vernon about this.
What made you guys come up with this idea to write letters to Padilla?
A lot of students and alumni have been getting automated responses from the president's email when voicing their concerns. And so, legally, federally, mail service-wise, he has to open his own letters. And so students came up with the idea to write him letters so that we know he has to at least open them.
Rachel also conducted interviews with more students around campus.
I'm VUTV 15's Rachel Painter, currently standing in the HAR Union interviewing students on whether they think that the paintings should be sold.
Sure, people complain about the quality of the dorms, yeah. But the people who actually leave, and I know more than 10 people who have transferred out of this school, none of them, when I've asked them why, have said the quality of the dorms. You know what every single one has said? They feel as though the administration does not listen to them.
Earlier this week, we had a chance to sit down with President Padilla in his office and talk about the sale of the art and his strategic plan. We asked him his thoughts about the petition going around, and he said this.
First of all, folks, I know there are people who have very heartfelt reasons for disagreeing with me, and I respect that. They're still my colleagues at the end of the day. They're still my family members. And if you've ever been at a dinner table, you've disagreed with your brother, your father, your sister, but you still love each other and you still respect each other. And I hope that's the case. In this case, I think anytime students, for example, issue or state their opinion, I think that's a good thing, because universities are supposed to be incubators for debate, dialogue, and dissent. That's what we're made for. And to the extent that students are doing that civilly, which they have done, I think that's a good thing.
We also asked him what he considered core or critical to our educational mission and strategic plan regarding what he said in his email. He responded with this.
Well, there's a lot of factors that go into it. There's just not one factor. Of course, the ones that come to mind are academics, building and developing student growth, having a sense of community, and that's why we want to renovate those 2 dorms. So that what goes into it. I would say that the museum or the Brauer plays a role in that, a supportive role in the academics, and that will continue to stay open, by the way. I just want to stress that. It will continue to serve its role, and a very important role, with 5,000 pieces of remaining artwork. But I have to tell you that with respect to the 3 pieces that we want to sell, I don't consider them critical. I don't consider any one piece of art critical to our mission. It's a supportive role, and it provides tools in which our faculty can teach our students. But do I consider an individual piece of art critical or core? No.
Many have been curious about the timeline of the sale of the art and renovations to the buildings. President Padilla answered these questions for us.
I want to take those 2 dorms offline this summer, renovate them over the course of the 23-24 academic year, and bring them back online for fall 24, because I believe they can really help in terms of providing the first-rate student experience our students deserve. Also, it will help with enrollment and also with retention. So time is of the essence.
Regarding the art, he said this.
We're still finishing out the due diligence in this, so I can't give you an absolute timeline, but I would like to do it in such a time so that I can have the proceeds in order to take the dorms off the line this summer. So, I mean, ideally, we're talking sometime before the summer.
Padilla mentioned in our interview with him the importance of enrollment and retention. Here, he breaks down the numbers.
And remember this, we've had a 30% reduction in freshman students from 2016. Okay, that's freshmen. So I want to make sure that we are competing as much as possible in order to get those students here, because it behooves everybody for that to happen.
Another note President Padilla makes is in regards to the arts and humanities on campus, saying,
I think we still will have a strong and vibrant arts and humanities program. For example, with respect to the collection, we still have 5,000 pieces, and we still have other collections there that will continue to be great learning tools and teaching tools by our faculty. So less 3 pieces, I don't think that's diminished whatsoever. And in the strategic plan, there's an arts and humanities and liberal arts component, which I asked to be put in there because I want to make sure that we continue to remain devoted to that and the part it plays in the education of everybody on this campus, whether you're in arts and science or engineering, nursing, or business.
This story is still developing, and we will have more for you as more information comes out. This is Daniel Murphy with VUTV 15 News.
Coming up after the break, Lizzie Nosek will have your full forecast.
And we'll take a look at the Valpo sports happening from this past week. Stick with us.
As I was saying before the break, that we are not under a winter weather alert right now. However, in the northern plains, as well as parts of Canada, they are under winter weather alerts, so luckily we are missing that at this moment in time. Moving into the next few hours, there is some snow over northern Michigan that we can see moving into Canada, but luckily Valparaiso is not in that zone, so we are getting some pretty good weather at the moment. While it is cloudy, and as you can see, it will remain cloudy, we are luckily not getting all that snow, so driving conditions will still be okay. Moving into the weekend, we see that there's a lot of snow on the way for different parts of northern Michigan. There's also some rain happening on the western side of the state. However, Valparaiso is here for that moving into the weekend. I have a nice long clip here showing us how much snow there will be getting in parts of Michigan and the northern plains over the weekend. Valpo is said to get around 0.3 inches by the time we reach Sunday morning, but that's pretty good in comparison to the 20 inches that Minnesota got a couple days ago. Current temperatures have us sitting around 33, but when we look at the national temperatures, we see this very strong gradient moving through the center of the country, very obvious to spot the front. There's some -5 temperatures up in the Dakotas, but it spans all the way down to 80 degrees. This is normal spans of temperatures for this time of the year, but that is a very strong gradient. Future temperatures have us dropping down into the 20s, but nothing is going to drop below around 20 degrees. We will stay between the 20 degree and 40 degree range going into the weekend. However, going into Monday, we will be getting up to 50 degrees. There are strong winds right now, so please be careful out there. Tonight, we are going to drop down to 22 degrees, and it is going to be very windy. As I said, winds right now are reaching up to around 28, 29 miles per hour, which is pretty strong right now. Tomorrow, we are going to have a cloudier day, and it's going to get up to 29 degrees. It will be dry. It's not going to rain again till Monday, and it will be continuously cloudy and dry moving into the weekend. Back to you guys.
In Miami, I wouldn't expect anything else. After this break, we'll take a look at this past week's sports.
As February draws to a close, men and women's basketball is beginning to wrap up their regular season and start preparation for the postseason. Yesterday marked the last home game for the 5 seniors of men's basketball. Ben Cricky, Nick Edwards, Quentin Green, Nick Morroy, and Kobe Keene were all honored at a pregame ceremony by the team and fans with the framed jerseys and displays of their legacies. Once the seniors and their parents received their applause on the court, it was time for the Beacon basketball. The starting lineups against the Bradley Braves was composed of all 5 seniors, a fitting symbolic tribute for their contributions towards Valpo athletics. Senior student manager Sam Black and senior cheerleaders and dancers also received honors and acknowledges as well.
Valpo was jump-started in the first half by a sequence of three-point shooting led by freshman Maximus Nelson. The teams exchanged leads for the majority of the first half, neither of whom looked particularly effective on defense. Bradley took advantage of Valpo's lack of defense, scoring almost half of their points off second chance plays in the first half. King and Krinky kept getting good looks, but the shots would just not fall. The second half erupted with another back-and-forth shooting contest, but would end with Bradley pulling away after a strong effort by big man Rank Mass closed the game with 18 points. Valpo finishes out their regular season on Sunday against Murray State in Kentucky. You can find the game on ESPN+.
After a convincing win against Indiana State and Terre Haute this past weekend, the women looked to sweep the remainder of the weekend by beating the Evansville Purple Aces, and swept they did. The Beacons hit 4 3-pointers in the past quarter alone, giving them a 7-point advantage by the end of the first quarter. The Purple Aces fought back with a quick run of their own, putting the Beacons in a hole early in the second quarter. Fifth-year senior Maya Dunson hitting 2 trays for the possessions to almost completely eliminate Evansville's run. The lead would go back and forth between the two teams for the opening part of the second half, but it was soon snatched by junior Leah Ernest, who scored 9 of 14 points in the fourth quarter alone. Her efforts combined with team free throw shooter put the Beacons up for a good sealing the deal for a Valpo victory, 74-68. The women are currently playing Bradley in Central Illinois, which you can find on ESPN+.
Valpo baseball also kicked off their season in Kansas this past weekend, splitting the series 1 and 2 with the Jayhawks. They play tomorrow in Tennessee against UT Martin, and you can track the game status at valpoathletics.com. Go Valpo!
Can you believe that baseball and softball season is about to be underway? We're starting to see all those early on tournaments. It's funny to believe that they're going to be playing in our home states, Tennessee and Florida this weekend. I bet if you have any, you can go check it out on ESPN Plus for some of those games. What do you think about the season?
Absolutely. I'm very excited for it. Baseball, softball coming back, basketball starting to wrap up as well. It really is a great time for a bunch of sports.
Yeah, with the MVC tournament coming up, we will have a final look at your 7-day forecast.
Going into the weekend, we are going to have a relatively dry weekend, but it's going to rain a lot on Monday, and then the rain will come back by Thursday. This weekend should be partly cloudy for the most part. Some relatively decent temperatures considering this time of the year. We're going to get up to 42 on Saturday, 50 on Sunday, and up to 58 on Monday. However, as we go into next week, the temperature will continue to drop again.
Thanks, Lizzie. Hey, I have a question for you. This came in from an Instagram follower. What are your plans for spring break?
To be honest, I don't really have many plans for spring break. It'll be a lot better than last year because last year I got my wisdom teeth out for spring break. But I think Konnor has some interesting plans. He was bragging about
I
earlier.
do. I'm heading to New York to go see some Broadway shows, including Phantom of the Opera, before they go out. So excited to go see some shows.
Connor, what if they cancel it last minute?
Well, I don't want to jinx that. So.
Wow.
All right.
If you have any other questions, send us your way on
What
Facebook,
about me?
Instagram,
I'm going
or
to Florida. Exactly. My goodness. If you have any questions for us, send it our way on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, and we might answer it. You can send screenshots of forms, questions you've been asked, or questions that you have yourself.
Apologies, I know you're going to Florida. From all of us at VUTV, thank you for joining us this evening. To be sure to come back on Media Organization Open House on Tuesday.